Okay, Success Nation, this is your host Michael Nguyen from asiansuccessmagazine.com, where successful entrepreneurs show you how they build a company and achieve success. I'm so thrilled to have one of my guests today, Tiffany G. Tim is a serial entrepreneur who previously co-founded Blackboard.com in 1998, and while at Blackboard, Tiffany helped the company grow to over 600 employees and a valuation of over $750 million. And today, Tim is the founder and CEO of WeddingWire, an online marketplace for weddings. Along with his co-founders, Jeff, Lee, and Sunny, they are building a technology company in DC that would revolutionize the wedding and event industry. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. So, are you prepared to inspire?
I am prepared to inspire. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Wonderful. I've given our listener just an overview about you, Tim. So take a minute and tell us about you personally because we want to get to know you, and then give us an overview about your business.
Certainly. So let me start from the very beginning. My parents emigrated here from Taiwan in the 70s, and I was actually born here in the States, in Columbus, Ohio, and then ended up growing up in Southern California. One of the things that I was exposed to very early on, although maybe not very indirectly, was entrepreneurship, because when my parents came here after graduate school, they actually were small business owners and started their own companies themselves. My dad started his own architecture firm, and my mom started her own real estate firm. And so I recall, just very early days of my childhood after school, I would get picked up because they were both working. And, I would sit in there. They shared an office together in Costa Mesa, California. And I would sit there on my dad's drafting board, drawing and, playing with it. And I think, a lot of what informed and shaped me today as an entrepreneur started very, very early on with watching them grow and learn about how to do business from a very early stage as small business owners. And the reason why that's relevant is today, I can tell you a little bit more about WeddingWire in a second, but one of the things that we do at WeddingWire today is we serve tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of small businesses across the U.S. in the weddings and event space. And so I have a very close place in my heart to helping small businesses succeed.
That's excellent. So at Asiansuccess magazine, we start to show up with our guest's favorite success quote. So it's a way of getting the motivational ball rolling. So Tim, can you share with the audience your favorite success quote and how you apply this to your everyday mentality?
Sure. So a quote that I have really grown to feel close to is a quote by Thomas Edison, and it's popular and many people quote it, but it's very relevant for me in a couple ways. So the quote is, "Vision without execution is just a hallucination." Vision without execution is just a hallucination. And what it means to me is that you can have, as an entrepreneur, you can have the greatest ideas in the world, but unless you can figure out how to make it actually happen, unless you can execute on the idea, it's relatively meaningless. And so for me, what that implies and the way that it's shaped my outlook is that executing on a vision ultimately means that you have to put together a great team. And the reason why putting a great team is important is because building a company, in particular one where you're in a startup mode, is always bigger than one person. And an example of that is in both companies that I've been part of the co-founding team, both at Blackboard and WeddingWire, we've had 12 co-founders at Blackboard, at least 12, and then 4 for WeddingWire. And at WeddingWire, I was very specific about going out and finding Lee, Jeff, and Sunny to come support me and round out our skill set. And I'm very happy to have been working with these guys, beginning in my living room in my house 7 years ago, up through today, where they're still all here with us. We have over 300 employees now, based here in DC and growing very quickly. One of the things that we do as a team is we still all sit in the same room together, so we don't have our own offices. And just like when we started in the living room, we threw desks around my living room. We all still sit together today. And so ultimately, executing flawlessly ultimately helps us achieve the vision, which basically means, to me, you need great people in order to execute. And that's why I went out and was very, very fortunate to be working with such great, talented people in my company.
That's wonderful. Before I go deeper into your company, WeddingWire, can you share with the audience about the Q1 of WeddingWire, where you guys are doing as far as revenue-wise and growth and number of employees?
Yeah, so I'll actually give you guys some context into 2012. We're going very quickly right now. Just to set the stage, we're a purpose-built vertical marketplace for the weddings and events industry, and what that means is, we serve both sides of the weddings and events value chain. Meaning, we utilize technology to help engaged couples come to our site, people looking for local businesses and local event vendors, and ultimately help them connect to find the best vendors to help them plan and execute their big day. Now, our whole directory and our whole marketplace is powered by consumer reviews, of which we have the most of, in the whole industry. And consumer reviews, as you guys are all familiar with, companies like Yelp for restaurant reviews are really extraordinary because they give they empower the consumer to make better purchase decisions about what they're about to spend money on. And so we help brides and grooms essentially make better purchase decisions around the people that are going to be helping them make their big day happen. But also importantly, as a marketplace, we need to service the business side as well. And getting back to what I was saying earlier around having a passion for helping support small business, today we build a lot of technology so that we can be great revenue partners and technology partners for our client base on the B2B side. So that's namely, we work with photographers and venues and caterers and florists and DJs and bands and officiants and any types of these event vendors that service the wedding. And we provide a lot of tools to help them grow their business online and be more successful online. So with that as a backdrop, we're a little over 300 employees. Last year our revenue ended, north of $30 million. I think it came in around $34 million, which was up about 75% year over year. One of the things that we've been really happy about is that we've been cash flow positive now for many years, and we are supported by a really, really great set of investors, Spectrum Equity and Catalyst investors that have been with us for a couple of years now that continue to help us shape and grow the company.
Tim, I watched some of your interviews earlier, and you repeatedly mentioned about the importance of customer service, and yes. You brought out a case of Tony Hsieh from Zappos. And today I really, actually just some of my audiences, they really want to know some of the secrets or the behind the scenes of your customers service success so that they can apply it to the business. So today, can you help me share about 4 or 5 tips in customer service that you guys excel at and grow the company to the magnitude of where you're at today?
Sure. So customer service, obviously a very, very important component of any successful business, particularly nowadays, as consumers, have a shorter attention span, and quite frankly, tolerance for poor customer service. And yes, certainly Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness, was a important piece of literature, and that it really characterized, how far you can actually push customer service. For us, I think, I can share a couple tips, but I think the most important one is that, it's an attitude that has to begin at the very top, right? So from the executive leadership all the way down, you have to make it an important part of your culture and an important part for the company. And you need to not only say that it's important, you actually need to breathe it and live it and demonstrate that it's important. And so one of the ways we do that here is we have 5 core values that we employ here and that we regularly discuss as a team. And one of the 5 core values is delight customers, which really speaks to this customer service topic you're talking about. So, delighting customers is very simply making them happy. And what we encourage our whole team to do whether they're actually customer facing with our actual clients, brides or grooms or event vendors, or maybe it's just, the people that are dropping the mail off or, UPS or FedEx. But what we encourage our staff to do is think about ways where you can actually, do something small, something unexpected that makes a difference. We say internally here today, it's not necessarily going the extra mile. You just need to go the extra inch, and you'll see the effects of that. So, I do it a lot as well, and it's something that is sort of built into my DNA, where we try to do the right thing, and we try to just go that extra inch in every interaction, that we have.
Can you give some examples that you and your customer support staff go extra inch to delight customers?
Well, first of all, I'll start by saying I love your shirts, and I think you look smashing today.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Here you go. I'm feel delightful now.
Look, it's look, we service millions of customers, brides and grooms, event vendors, and there's all sorts of things that happen on a daily basis, from I can't log in to some more sticky situation that's relatively unclear, maybe centered around a customer review. I think it begins first with response time, right? So nowadays, and this is stuff that you as a consumer understand, right? What's the worst thing when you try to call in to a place to get customer support and you hear like the wait time will be 2 hours, and you're like, why would I do that? So one of the areas to focus is how quickly you can respond, even if it's just very simply an acknowledgement. That's we've received a request, we will get back to you, and set an expectation in terms of time back. I think that it begins there. And then, it flows through the whole conversation and the whole workflow of helping people understand, what we're doing to help them achieve their goal, and keeping that expectation fresh and updated.
So how long is the response time at WeddingWire right now?
Well, it actually depends on the type of request that comes in, and I have to say, quite frankly, we would always love it to be instantaneous. You can tweet us and get and get a response right away. And the reality is, it doesn't happen, unfortunately, and organizations are set up to be able to do that, unless maybe you're Zappos and have that scale. But more importantly, I think the idea is you set the principle and you strive to achieve that goal, and then you look at processes and you evaluate cases coming in, and you try to fix those. One of the areas that we want to improve on significantly, and we think we have a long ways to improve, and I don't think it's a bad thing, is telephone support. And we do a lot of email and social media, and we're very good at that. But we haven't had the right infrastructure in place until recently, where we're now installing the right infrastructure to be able to do telephone support efficiently. And that's an important part of our service that we, and for all our clients, they'll know this. It's something that we've been wanting to work on, and we are working on it. We're investing quite a bit of energy and money into putting in the right telephone infrastructure so that we can be even more responsive, over the phone.
Okay, let me ask you this. So right now you're still building the capacity for phone support, but before that you mainly you guys work with email and social media. And what are some of the specific way that you can delight a customer or prospective customer via social media and emails? Since you don't know them, you can't see them.
We'll start with response time, right?
Okay.
Acknowledgement right away. And really it's communication and speed by which things are resolved. I think tough cases will be when there's a lot of back and forth, just trying to understand the problem, and that drags the timer out. But very quickly, email today is a great medium for providing support. As a matter of fact, most people like to do things digitally. I still like to pick up the phone and call people, but that's not necessarily the case across everywhere. It really just begins and ends with speed and how quickly we're getting down to solve a problem, which is perfectly email is just the communication vehicle, right? It's the content of the email and the speed at which it's getting done. That's the important thing.
I'm curious. You mentioned that right now you guys have about like millions of customers or something like that. And what is the ratio between the support staff and customers? Like how many support staff will handle X amount of customers?
Oh, right. So we don't break that out for people right now publicly. But what I'll say is it's not a large support staff, right? Because we have 5 million unique visitors coming to our site on any given month, but only a small subset. This gets back to maybe a larger question or larger topic of why are people calling in the first place? Is it product broken? Is the site down? And so when you have a good product, you actually minimize a lot of the other issues that could come in on that. Yeah. So we are a technology company. We're a product-focused company. We're a mobile-focused company, and our goal is to build incredible products that, quite frankly, don't need a lot of support. Which enables us to keep a lean and smart team in place.
Gotcha. So the first thing you said is the attitude from top leadership.
Yep.
You have to impose that at the very down level of the company.
That's right. Yeah, and we do that, by the way that we behave, but also in set core values, that are communicated constantly throughout our organization, of which delight customers is one of them.
All right. So I got the first core value as delight customers. What is the next one?
Oh, so I'll go through all 5 real quick. We can talk for a while about this. But we have delight customers, work smart, be curious, be bold, and fail fast. And those are the 5 WeddingWire core values that we feel best represents our culture here.
Yeah. So can you quickly help the audience understand? So you help me understand the first one, which is to delight customers, and the second one, work smart. Tell me more about it.
Sure. So in this day and age, particularly with the effectiveness of being able to work online from virtually anywhere, while we focus a lot on having a really great office environment to work on, ultimately what we're focused on is as an organization is having people get their jobs done, not just sitting in front of a computer monitor doing whatever. So, I think the work smart core value speaks to how you appropriate your own time, how you're being efficient with your time, and one of the outcomes of that core value is our what we call our take what you need vacation and holiday policy. And so one of the policies that we have here is we don't, unlike a lot of larger corporations, we don't track and we don't, employees here don't have to accrue vacation time in order to take a vacation. We leave it in their hands to take vacation when they want, or travel or go on their honeymoon for an extended period of time, whatever it is, with the understanding that that you're going to get your job done. And so in doing that, we provide a lot of flexibility with people, with our team, in order for them to be able to, balance work and life in the way that they want. And ultimately, that means working smart.
So basically, you allow them to take any vacation you want as long as they can get the job done.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
Yep. The third one is be curious. and this is about lifelong learning, right? So one of the great things about being in a fast growth company is things are always changing, and there's a lot of opportunity to grow and learn. And so, it's been demonstrated many, many times that one of the reasons why people stay at their jobs is because they're always being challenged and they're mastering new skills. And we certainly want to provide that for that opportunity for every single person, for every engineer, marketer, sales, and operations folks that are here, learning new things, trying new things, growing themselves, while helping the company achieve their goals is very important. But that has to begin with the individual wanting to do that, and that's why our third core value is be curious, which speaks to the innate nature of wanting to learn more and grow yourself, and I think our organization is definitely here to support that.
How do you bring out the curiosity nature of your employees?
It's hard to bring that out, but what we do to support is we'll have what we call crash courses here. So in our marketplace, in our lunch area, where we have long rows of tables that is set up more like a cafeteria. It's always loud and bustling and a lot of fun. We do crash courses, so we'll bring someone in for 1 hour and they'll teach us about some skill or some topic that may or may not be directly relevant to our business, but still is something neat and fun. And we'll do. We'll have people self-volunteer for running charity events. That we'll do. We have I think upcoming. There's a. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this yet because we haven't rolled out the company, but we're organizing a Scotch tasting event, and one of the distributors is coming in and doing that. To give people the ability to learn about that type of liquor. We also have skill building ones, right? We'll do financial ones, 401k planning. We'll do how to conduct an interview, because a lot of people here start and then very quickly they realize that they're hiring people under them, and so what are the right skills? How do you ask the right questions? What can you ask? What are you not allowed to ask? So there's just a lot of these skills. So we do these 1 hour crash courses all the time that give people give our team the ability to step outside what their normal day job is. We also run a program called Speaker Series where we bring in CEOs, entrepreneurs, all sorts of different business leaders throughout the community here to talk about their experience building a business as well. So similar to what we're doing now, we host them in the office and we let them speak about their experience and do a Q&A session. So two very small examples of things that we do to encourage people to be curious and grow themselves.
That's wonderful. So those are the company sponsor events that allow your employees to really involve and get more curiosity.
That's right. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so
yeah. You want me to keep going? Or?
Yeah, be curious. So work smart, be curious, and what's the next one?
Well, so I'll talk about the last two together because they kind of go hand in hand. The last two are be bold and fail fast. And be bold is around risk taking, and naturally, in our lives, in our personal lives as well as in business, the more at stake, the more risk averse people tend to get in terms of strategy or tactical execution. And so be bold is a reminder to ourselves that we need to continue to always be innovative, like we were from our very early days, where we're taking risks. The way that I like to think about it is, if for any of you baseball fans out there, when you're thinking about a strategy, let's say a product strategy or business strategy, you can try and hit singles all day, which is perfectly fine. But more importantly, I think it's best to have a strategy that's set up where you have a mix of singles, doubles, triples, and home runs that you're trying for all the time. Because as everyone knows, when a home run pays off, it can be a very, very important inflection point or a change, a company-changing event. And so, it's important that we as a company always evaluate how big of a swing we're taking and calculate it, calculate the risk appropriately. There's a general push as you get larger to be more and more conservative, and be bold is a reminder that we didn't get to where we got simply by hitting singles all the time, that we had to take some big swings. And, for us, many of those panned out. And sometimes they don't. And that leads us to the fifth core value, which is fail fast. You can't always be right. And it's okay to make mistakes here in our organization, as long as you can fail fast. And that means, not letting your ego get in the way, or to drive something that is not going to work already, and wasting resources. So we think the combination of taking big swings, but being able to wrap it up quickly, if it doesn't work, is a perfectly acceptable outcome for our company, and it's something that we continue to get better and better at.
How do you handle a situation where your company, one of your support staff try to fail fast and lose an account that may have cost the company, several $1,000s? How do you handle that situation?
I mean, look, I'm certain it happens all the time. What we like to say here is experience is the name people give to their mistakes. And what's done is done. If we did everything that we could to do the right thing with a high level of integrity, and it didn't work out, then we just need to learn. We just need to learn from that mistake. Again, on the fail fast thing, what we look for is how quickly did that happen. If that dragged out and it took that case 1 year to arrive at that conclusion, and it could have taken 3 days, then clearly we can improve there.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm not saying that happens, but I'm just those would be the types of things that we look for. So again, failing fast is perfectly fine, as long as we have been working smart.
Now, how can you impose that mentality from the top leadership every single day?
We celebrate and highlight examples of that in the company. So in our company-wide meetings, as we go through departmental updates, we try and flag examples and showcase. Just in our most recent company meeting here, we have these logos created, right? The Be Curious logo is this. It looks like this giant button on a wall, and it says "Do not press." And so we use visual cues, but we also really just try to celebrate and highlight when those core values are demonstrated very regularly here. And I think that's one good place to start.
Gotcha. And when did you actually create the 5 core values for the company?
It was probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a process, right? Like every company, I think, has a unique culture. We certainly do here, and our culture is driven by the many hundreds of smart and talented and fun people that we have. And there's infinite number of combinations and values that you can pick from. So it's actually quite challenging to pick a set that you feel really reflects the whole environment here. And so we went through an exercise and tried to agree on what were the values that we felt were most reflective of our organization and more importantly the people here, and ultimately settle on 5. It could be 3, it could be 7. I think getting back to Tony Jay, I think they actually have like 10 core values that they chase to. So I think it's a personal with respect to the. It needs to be appropriate for your business, and it's not necessarily the same for every business.
I see. I just want to summarize, make sure I understand. So the way that you strengthen the attitude of customer service from the top leadership is that you celebrate and highlight those success case at the department level and at the individual level. I look at the company history. On 2007, you guys publicly launched the products, and then like a year later, you have an investment from Martha Stewart company, and I think that's a milestone for a company that having the attention from Martha Stewart. Tell me more about that time, how you ramp up products and take care of customers.
Great question. So let me start by saying, it was a big milestone for the company, and a big point of validation. And we're really, really happy to be able to, even today, continue to work very, very closely with all of the folks at Martha Stewart. They're a fantastic organization and really a great partner of ours. It started in 2007. We launched, and our thesis and our test plan for WeddingWire, the whole thing was, can it work in one city? May 1, 2007, we launched, and the question we were trying to answer was, can this concept, this marketplace, work in just one city? And we launched in Washington, D.C., so we said, let's just pick Washington, D.C. It's the easiest one for us. And what that meant in terms of can this work is, can we find customers? Can we find event professionals? Can we bring them online to our ecosystem? Will they actually connect with each other? Will reviews get created? Are people having a good experience? You know, what we wanted to answer all of those questions. In 2008, when we ended up linking up with the Martha folks who supported us financially in participating in our first round of financing, we had enough cues from the DC marketplace to feel good about growing into more cities. And so when we went to the Martha Stewart folks, you know, we talked with them about the success we were seeing in Washington, D.C., as well as some of the failures, and said, we are looking to grow into more cities. And as a brand, the Martha Stewart brand is an incredible one, you know, particularly in the wedding space. We said, is there an opportunity for us to work together here, not just from an investment perspective, but actually linking our brands together, whereby the Martha Stewart brand represents some of the most incredible inspiration and you know, forward-thinking innovation from a media perspective. But you know, what we were was delivering local, you know, trying to help brides execute on it. And so in many ways, and even today, our platforms and our businesses are extraordinarily to each other. And as a matter of fact, if you were to go to the marthastewartweddings.com site today and you found a local vendor through their site, that information is actually being syndicated from our site. And while you feel like you've never left the Martha Stewart experience, as a photographer, your information on WeddingWire is actually getting pushed out to Martha Stewart Weddings right now.
Did you actually meet with Martha at that time?
Yes, of course, yes. It was we went through the whole process with not just Martha, but their whole executive team, and you know, had a really great experience with them, and you know, again, continue to be very close to them.
Now, how did that partnership with Martha Stewart companies help you, number one, grow your change the change anything from your product perspective and your customer service perspective, when you have like all of a sudden the next day when you have flood of customers coming to your site and need your service?
Yeah, it didn't change. It didn't change very much, actually. I mean, what it provided was, you know, our business was our business, and we were launched in one city, and we wanted to grow to more cities. But the infrastructure and the what we were selling and what we thought the consumer value proposition and really our purpose and mission remained unchanged. What came along with the relationship was a really wonderful partner and a brand to support us, and you know, investment money. You know, our first round of financing via the Martha Stewart Media, Martha Stewart Living on Media Company was $5.5 million. You know, we staffed up. We hired across the board. We hired marketers. We hired more customer support representatives. We hired marketing. We hired engineers. And you know, very happy to say, 7 years later, we are still doing the same thing in more cities. You know, at bigger scale. And that's really been one of the greatest things and things I'm most proud of, is that, you know, we really are doing, you know, many of the same things that we sought out to do, you know, when we were sitting in my living room.
I see. So besides just the financial resources, did you get any spike in traffic or some sort of visibility, things like that from Martha Stewart?
Again, not huge spikes in traffic. I mean, again, right, the way the relationship worked is, you know, we would put some of our local clients, our businesses get on their site, and certainly, you know, but but the experience, as I mentioned earlier, the visitor, the bride, stayed on the marthastewart.com site. They weren't leaving their site to come to our site.
I got you.
Right? So there's no necessarily spike traffic. What did happen, and continues to happen today, is that there are brides and grooms that are browsing on Martha Stewart's site, as well as our network of partners. We power a bunch of different industry-leading bridal sites today, and the experience stays on our publisher partner site. But ultimately, the bride and groom, when they're looking for a vendor, they can send in a lead or pick up the phone and call someone, and that lead or contact information will flow through to our client, the photographer.
I see. Can you share with the audience about the experience when you guys acquired Project Weddings back in 2011, and how does that further refine your customer service?
Sure. So Project Wedding was more of a audience acquisition component. So very similarly to the way that we work with Martha Stewart's company, where we syndicate and help power the local resources, we were doing the same thing with Project Wedding, which was owned by a company called eHarmony, which many of you are probably familiar with. And the opportunity came about where we have the ability to participate in eHarmony's sale of that property, and we looked at what the property was, the user engagement on the site, and felt like it could be a property that, as part of the WeddingWire family of brands, was a meaningful one. So mostly we acquired it, to continue to support our goal of helping give brides and grooms great experiences while planning and executing their wedding, but also supporting our merchant base in terms of driving leads and helping them grow their business as well.
What did you learn from the acquisition of Project Wedding?
We've done a couple acquisitions over the past couple years, and I have to say everyone is different.
Right.
And there are, because there are, many variables that go into any deal. For that one, probably the biggest learning was that deals can happen very, very fast. We got involved in that process a little bit late in the game while they were considering, the sale of it. The whole interaction between us and the Harmony team matriculated in under 3 weeks time from start to finish, which is really fast. Which is really there was a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of work. It felt like a year, but it went very quickly. And I have to say, I think both teams working very closely together that have the same goal in mind, ultimately made that achievable.
I see. So during the course of running WeddingWire, what is your most expensive failure?
Expensive failure?
Right.
It's tough to some of the most expensive ones are probably not monetary, right?
Right. I mean, it costs you more in terms of monetary.
Losing a great person, a great talent because they moved on, or you didn't give them the experience they wanted. I mean, that can be a very, very expensive from a productivity output. So I think we've just had our fair share of those. I mean, we've been, it's just standard growing pain stuff. I can't think about many cases where we necessarily put a lot of dollars in play and then not had it worked out. I mean, certainly, in the past, you try out some software solutions and maybe they don't work, and then you switch to something else. But I think more of the ways that we look at it, continue to improve our business, and prevent failure in any way, or not prevent it, but mitigate it, is trying to be very focused on what's important to the company. Mm-hmm. People are very important to the company. The product is very important for the company, and and really spending a lot of time making sure that those feel good and feel right, that people are happy, people are productive, and we're putting out good product. And the rest tends to take care of itself, much more so if you can get a couple of those things right.
Okay.
It's never smooth sailing, but
Um, what experiences did you learn and bring over from Blackboard to the success of WeddingWire?
Sure. So the first one, which I mentioned earlier, was I'm a big fan of multi-partner co-founding teams. Both of my experiences now have been where the group is bigger than me that start the company, and it's something that I think is really important, because when you find the right partner, you do get a force multiplier effect on product productivity and output. And not only that, you're building a relationship that can be very, very meaningful, as you continue to grow and scale the company together. And so my experience at Blackboard, we had a relatively large co-founding team. I was on the product engineering side and had a really, really wonderful time growing that business with all of the other folks in the room. And I certainly brought that over to WeddingWire. A second thing was culture. So if you go back and you overlay the Blackboard timeline, we went through both the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust. We raised a lot of money, and fortunately, we actually, Blackboard, while some people think of it as a .com, it actually was not a .com. It is an enterprise software company, and so ultimately, we survived and were fine through the .com bust era, because we actually had revenue, we actually had customers, and there was a real business underlying all of what was going on in the digital sphere. When I think back to that experience, one of my most favorite components of that was being able to wear a lot of hats and constantly learning. I just graduated from college, so the world, my eyes were big, and the world was there, and we were just a technology company in Washington D.C. We raised over $100 million in capital. We were hiring, and it was just a ton of fun. And that feeling, that environment, is what we sought to replicate here. And at 320 plus employees, it's one of the things that I spend a lot of my time on, is thinking about how we can continue to ensure that as many people as possible at WeddingWire can experience that same feeling.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tim, can you share one of your personal habits that you believe really contribute to your success?
Sure. This one's important. This turns a little bit more into personal, not sort of business. But one of the things that my wife and I agreed on very early on, and for a little bit of background, we did meet at Blackboard and got married. But she's been extraordinarily supportive of my goals as an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship is not easy. And we had just gotten married, moved into a home, and she effectively let WeddingWire take over her house as newlyweds for over a year, where we had people showing up every single day, eating the food, utilizing the whole space, and she was extraordinarily patient. One of the habits that I believe in success is striking a great balance between work and personal. And we say that it's not, you don't necessarily have to trade them off, but you need to understand that there's a balance. One of the things that my wife and I agreed to very early on, as we launched in this WeddingWire experience, is that I would have dinner with my family every single night, and it's a very, very important component to my life in terms of both business success as well as personal success. I have 3 little daughters now, 5 years old, almost 3 years old, and a 4-month-old at home. And family dinner is our time together every single night. Unless I'm traveling, I go home, same time. have dinner, we go through our routine, and I can be back online at 9 p.m. And continue to work if I need to. But that's a very stable, regular component of what drives our family dynamic, and is an important part for me personally, in order to maintain balance and work and
Wonderful.
personal.
While busy at the company, you still have time to balance that life and have and
Uh,
spend time with family.
yeah, and to oversimplify, you have to make
Right.
time to that the family understands that is important, and that it's really ultimately necessary, very very necessary for them.
Tim, do you have any like internet resource you want to share with the audience?
What do you mean, like internet resource?
Some tools or some productivity tools that you use on a regular basis that help you do your
Sure.
work and
I'll give you the rundown of what I use. So I do like to read, and I'm not talking like Kindle. I mean, I do like book reading too, but there's an app called Pulse, that I really enjoy on iPad and Android, that lets you pull a lot of different news feeds in. So I have my tech screen, and it pulls in Mashable and TechCrunch and VentureBeat and all these, and I can scan very quickly
right.
and read a ton of headlines. So Pulse is a great reading and reading app for me. For organization, productivity, I'm a very list-driven person, since a very early age, and I use an app called Wunderlist, Wunderlist, on phone, tablet, and computer. Synchronizes all my tasks, and I think it's a really nice app. Spotify is my music choice. It's a great service. One thing that from a business perspective that may or may not be obvious to people out there, but it's been really great for us as an organization, is having a private Facebook group for our staff.
Mm-hmm.
It's an area where you can get hundreds of people coming in and participating in a very private, closed loop way. But the benefit for me, hopefully for others, is that we kind of get to stay in sync with each other about what's going on, and people are posting about activities and whatnot. It keeps us connected even while we're sitting at our desks or on the road to activities that are going on. So even when I'm traveling, you can see what's going on in the office. Someone's taking pictures of what's going on in our cafe or whatever. So
Awesome.
that private social component, for corporate is a really neat thing that works very well for us.
I love that the idea of having a private social group.
Yeah.
It's getting
And it's very it's not really moderated or anything. We just let people do what they want, but it's a lot of fun.
I see. So, if you had to recommend a book to my audience, what would it be?
Yes. I just read one that I really enjoyed. Like I said, I do enjoy reading, and I was out in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, and I picked up a book that just came out and read it on the flight from San Francisco back to DC here. And it's by a gentleman named Ben Horowitz, and he is a partner at a company called Andreessen Horowitz, a venture firm. And his book is called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And I really enjoyed it because he entrepreneur that writes about his experience growing a very successful company through a big roller coaster ride. But the essential thesis, to way oversimplify, but I think it was a great read, is that tough situations are really hard, and there is no formula, and there is no playbook, and there's no magic place you can go to ask, and someone can just say, "Oh, that's so easy. Here's the formula." And he actually addresses a lot of those types of situations and characterizes them. And management and business books sometimes always focus on strategies or whatnot, but talking about the really tough times, when it's not clear, there's no prescription that works, is what that book is focused on. And so I really enjoyed getting a very different perspective, sort of a normal business reading that might go otherwise.
Wonderful.
So again, it's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things, and it's by a gentleman named Ben Horowitz. I really enjoyed it.
Wonderful. So Success Nation, if you haven't already, you can get the audio version of the book that Tim read or any books you want by going to asiansuccessbook.com. Tim, I really enjoy listening to your journey and really learn a lot today. And can you help me share one parting piece of guidance and share the best way that we can find you, and then we say goodbye?
Sure. So let me start with the second. We are a Washington D.C. based company here, and you can follow me on Twitter. It's just, at WWTim. So that's a good way to stay connected as well. And it's a way that I like to interact with folks. I think just on the parting piece of advice, I think maybe it's a lesson learned and an observation about entrepreneurship in general. And the background to that is that I have a very very good fortune and really deep passion with meeting with a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly in the DC space here, and it's something that is important to me. And the reason why it's important to me is because as an entrepreneur myself, being on the other side, starting a small company, a lot of people took meetings from me and shared their guidance and information. And in many ways, it's a pay it forward attitude that I have. And I love the idea of being able to at least, help someone not make the mistakes that I made, which I've made many. But one of the greatest qualities, and here's what I'll leave you with, is one of the greatest qualities that I've seen about entrepreneurs in general, and it just fascinates me. I think it's the most wonderful thing, is that people will say they're passionate about what they want, or there's a very direct purpose. But really, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is that they're willing to take a risk with very, very limited data, on an idea. And it's really their passion and their conviction that will ultimately drive them to success. But it's that risk-taking quality, right? That I could go make money somewhere else and get a stable job and enjoy life. But you know what? I'm gonna take the hard route. I'm gonna actually pull up my sleeves and put everything on the line to do it. And that's one of the most refreshing things when you surround that with what the idea is and why they found out, why they feel so passionate about it. I derive a lot of my energy and a lot of my spirit from living through that whole process by meeting with our next generation of entrepreneurs that are growing up. So I've always greatly respected that attribute and many others as well, but particularly that attribute about entrepreneurs. It's something that I connect with a lot, and I quite frankly gain a lot from by meeting them.
And look at you, two of your your Blackboard venture and WeddingWire, they both were created out of your desire to scratch your itch, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? I've never looked back and have been having a lot of fun every single day.
All right,
yeah.
I really thank you for your time and your energy today, and Success Nation will salute you. And otherwise, I'll catch you on the other side then.
Very good. Thank you for your time, and it was a lot of fun, and hope to do it again sometime.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate your time.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.